You know, folks, you know, it's kind of hard to judge something before you really talk about it, isn't it? I mentioned in an on-screen video, in a video, how one person, pretty much feels that Worlds Collide is, it's nothing more than a gimmick battle royal. Or gimmick brawl, if you will. And it's just started. But then again, you also have people, like I said in audio and stuff, who assume what obviously a lot of people pretty much, like myself, don't believe occurred. And assume that Sally was gutted to become Mecha Sally. Now, in case anybody's wondering what I mean by that, what I mean is, there's a lot of fans that are assuming and speculating, as I said in previous videos, that at the end of 231, Eggman was holding up a blowtorch to Sally's roboticized face. And people pretty much, assume that off-panel, Eggman cut her open. Basically, took her apart, rebuilt her. There you go. And there are, believe it or not, some legitimate claims to that if they want to look at it that way. I mean, you have a power pack in her back that supplies power rings that she uses for power rings to be her life support. You have a laser cannon in her head, so people look at that as saying if she wasn't gutted, then how do you explain that? And again, they do have legitimate arguments there, but still they can only assume and speculate. I mean, myself and a lot of other people have pretty much assumed and speculated that all he did was weld on some weaponized armor onto her. Like he could have opened her back a little bit, and then by putting the roboticized armor onto her, connected the circuitry to her back and overrode her systems, thus making it possible for her to have the power ring as her power source, if you know what I'm saying. So, again, that's how fans say they look at Sally being gutted. However, for the sake of argument, let's say these fans are right. For the sake of argument, let's say these fans are right about her being gutted. For the sake of argument, that's what the title says. For the sake of argument, let's say Sally was gutted. For the sake of argument, let's say she was. Everybody pretty much knows she's going to be restored, right? Now, a lot of people, some of these fans who feel she was gutted pretty much are afraid that when she gets restored, she's going to be like, "Hey, that's Sally! Whoop-de-doo, whoop-de-doo!" They're going to be afraid she's going to have a personality changed. And she's going to be all, "Dee!" No. You see, for one, they know that if they do that, if Archie Comics and Ian Flynn, they know for one, if they do that, they're going to piss a lot of fans off. Trunks24, who does some of the artwork now for them, did a picture of Sally in her new look. And his picture kind of gave, believe it or not, some of these fans that were against the new look a little bit of hope. Because when you look at the facial features on Sally, and I'll provide a link to that picture down below, it looks like Sally. It is Sally. The facial features are Sally, and you can almost tell, in a sense, that it's still going to be the same old Sally. Nothing's going to change. And it looks like from what I could tell from this picture, and again, it's just my opinion, it looks like she's going to be more determined than ever to take the Eggman Empire down. So again, let's say for the sake of argument, like I said, for the sake of argument, the people that feel she was gutted, let's say for the sake of argument, they're correct. They know as well as we do. They should know this. She'll be restored and be back to herself again, new design and all, whether we like it or not. Whether we like the new design at all or not, she'll be back to normal. She won't change or anything. How many times have we had a character, male or female, in any kind of media that's been through similar situations, and yet when they get returned, when they're restored to normal, they're back to their old selves again almost. Or basically are back to their old selves, I should say. How many times have that happened? A lot. Just because you have a character get a new redesign, just because you have a character sort of get modified, doesn't mean they're not gonna, when they get restored, they're not gonna be the same again, because they are. So again, for the sake of argument, let's say the fans that assume she was gutted, for the sake of argument, let's say she was. They should know she will be restored. And she'll be back to normal in no time flat. Now, I understand. A lot of fans, some of these fans find that hard to believe, but it's true. For the sake of argument, it is true. You can't just assume, if you will, that she's not going to be restored. You just can't assume, that when she is restored, she's going to be... No. I mean, I understand the message through DeviantArt that some of those fans through DeviantArt and other forums and message boards are trying to get across. They're trying to say, look, you didn't have to go to this, in this direction. You didn't have to do this. You didn't have to do that. And I understand completely where they're coming from. I'm sure a lot of fans do. But what they need to understand is just because she might have, we can't say she was. We can only speculate for the sake of argument that she might have been gutted doesn't mean that when she's restored, she won't be the same old Sally. I mean, come on. We all know, honestly, what's going to happen here. We all know, for the sake of argument, we all know that everything's coming full circle. We all know that. It's all coming full circle for a reason. But again, we can't assume... we can't flat out say she was gutted. We can only speculate and assume she was. But again, for the sake of argument, again, let's say she was. You all know that even if she was, she'll be restored and she'll be back to normal. That's a pretty much fact and given. All right? So, let me know what you guys think. And again, for the sake of argument, this is only to speculate and wonder if perhaps, if it's true, hold on for a second. Sorry about that, folks. Again, like I said, fans can only speculate and assume. But again, for the sake of argument, let's say she was. We all know she's going to be restored. But again, let me know what you guys think. And again, for the sake of argument, do you agree? Let me know what you guys think down below. I'll talk to you later.